They thought my loyalty was a leash. They forgot I was the one who held the contract. The first morning of his father's new era, Ethan Grant didn't just walk into my office. He performed an entrance, a spectacle of inherited arrogance. I watched through the glass as he dropped his ostentatious briefcase on my desk, the desk where I'd built his father's empire. He spun my chair, once, a childish pirouette of power, before sinking into it as if claiming a throne. Then, the smirk. The raised phone. Click. The caption was instantaneous, "Day 1. Finally took over this place." A hot, silent fury, cold and precise, settled in my chest. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to even enter the room. I simply forwarded the post to legal and compliance with a single, damning note, Clause 7.3 triggered. He just voided the deal. The chair he was so proud of sitting in? He'd just blown it up from underneath himself. 2 years earlier, his father, Harold, had called me his right hand. He'd said it with a clap on the back that felt like camaraderie, but was really just the pat you give a prized workhorse. We had built this company from a struggling logistics firm into a regional powerhouse. I was the architect of every major contract, the surgeon in every merger. I lived in the details, the clauses and codicils that bored Harold but made him a fortune. I knew every secret, every vulnerability buried in our corporate skeleton. I thought we were partners. When he looked me in the eye, his voice gruff with false sincerity, and said, "This company is your legacy, too. You'll take over when I retire." "You've earned it," I, like a fool, let myself believe him. The betrayal didn't come with a shout, it came in a whisper, in the slow, chilling shift of his demeanor. It began the day he introduced Ethan to the board. The boy was fresh from an MBA he didn't earn, smelling of privilege and cheap ambition. He shook my hand with a grip meant to dominate. "Guess I'll be learning from you, old man," he'd sneered. My smile was a razor blade. "Guess you'll have to try." He never did. Why would he? His last name was his only qualification. My authority was quietly stripped, my projects reassigned, my counsel ignored. Harold, the man I'd considered a brother, became a ghost, his replies curt, his eyes avoiding mine. The final blow arrived not in a confrontation, but in a document, a restructuring plan buried in the fine print of a merger I had vetted. My own signature, given in trust, was used as the weapon to hand my life's work to an unqualified boy. They were going to use me to train my replacement, then discard me. That night, I went home and poured a glass of whiskey, my hand steady despite the storm inside. I read the contract again. And again. And that's when I saw it, the seed I had planted long ago, forgotten by everyone but me. Clause 7. A single, elegant line of text in an annex, designed for exactly this moment. It stated that if the inheriting party engaged in any public act that damaged the company's reputation or misrepresented control before the legal transfer was complete, all rights would be void, and full control would revert to the prior executive officer. Me. I had written that clause to protect the company from itself. Harold, in his hubris, had never bothered to truly read my work. I didn't get angry. I got patient. I began to play my part perfectly. I became the gracious mentor, feeding Ethan's ego, handing him small victories, letting him believe the fiction of his own competence. I gave him just enough rope, and he, the arrogant peacock, began to fashion it into a noose, boasting on social media about his leadership and his vision. The day Harold publicly retired, I drafted the final transition documents myself. They were clean, professional, and utterly final. Clause 7 waited within them, a silent serpent coiled in velvet. All it needed was a trigger. Ethan provided it on his first morning, with that one foolish selfie. A public declaration of a takeover that hadn't legally happened. A direct, undeniable violation. By noon, the corporate world was in an uproar. My phone buzzed incessantly. On the third call from legal, I answered. "Yes," I said, my voice calm as still water. "It's valid." Section 7.3, cross-referenced with the social media policy in 4.2. Public misrepresentation of ownership. That post is a breach. The contract is null. Control reverts to me. The board, terrified by the sudden investor pullout and plummeting stock price, had no choice but to confirm it. By the next morning, Ethan's keycard was deactivated. He confronted me in the marble lobby, his face a blotchy mask of rage and humiliation. "This is my family's legacy," he shouted, spittle flying. "You can't just steal it with a power play." I waited until his voice echoed into silence. The entire atrium was listening. I took a slow step forward, my voice low, meant for him alone. "I didn't steal a thing," I said. "You lost it. For a selfie. You shouldn't have sat in my chair." The dawning horror in his eyes was a more satisfying reward than any stock option. Harold called that night. The mighty Harold Grant, his voice cracked and aged. "Did you plan this?" he whispered, the truth a bitter pill he was finally forced to swallow. "No, Harold," I replied, the weight of 2 years of betrayal finally lifting. "You did. You just never bothered to read the fine print. Now, the company runs with a quiet efficiency it hasn't known in years. The air is clear of the toxic mix of entitlement and incompetence. Sometimes, when I'm in my office, in my chair, I think of that photo. It's not a reminder of revenge. Revenge is a hot, messy emotion. This was colder. Cleaner. This was consequence. And it was everything they deserved.